Mindset Project, your go-to place for mastering your learning with a growth mindset. Get ready to embrace challenges, unlock new skills, and cultivate that unstoppable mindset. Now, let's dive in and get started. So today, learners, we are going to take some time to learn conceptually a little bit about fractions. Fractions can be very challenging and very intimidating at first, but if you go through these videos, you take your time and you practice and you believe that you can do it, I promise you are going to be an expert in fractions in no time. So let's start by thinking about what are fractions? Well, simply put, fractions are a part of a whole. And it doesn't really matter what that whole looks like. You could have a whole that looks like that, one whole circle. Or that could be a birthday cake, or it could be a pizza. You could have a whole that looks like this, and that could be a candy bar. It could be a piece of wood. It could be anything. It's a whole. And fractions are those parts of a whole. So when we start thinking about, splitting these in certain ways, all of these parts right here, well, those are parts of a whole. Those are fractions. Those are fractions of a whole. Okay? And when we talk about fractions, we have two really, really important terms. There's a lot of important things with fractions, but the two that we should really make sure that we understand first and foremost are these two words right here. The first one is numerator. Okay? And the second word is denominator. And you're going to hear these words over and over again. So let's make sure that we know what they are before we get started with our fractions. So the numerator, it's the parts that we're counting. Okay? When you have a fraction, it's the parts that are counted. And I'll talk about that in just 1 second after we define what the denominator is. And the denominator is, well, that's the total number of equal parts. Okay? Well, you might say, well, what do you mean by that? What does it mean, parts counted and total number of equal parts? Well, let me show you. So let's write a fraction. Let's write the fraction 1/4. Okay? 1/4. So we can see we have our denominator here and we have our numerator here. That means in this fraction, we are counting one part. And we have 4 total equal parts. So what might that look like? Well, let's give it a shot, okay? Let's imagine that we have a pizza, and it's not going to be a perfect pizza because I can't draw a perfect circle. But let's imagine, let's call this our whole. So we have one whole pizza. And we said, well, our denominator, one second, our denominator is the total number of equal parts. So how many equal parts do we need in this pizza? Well, our denominator here is 4, so we need 4 equal parts. So let's see if we can make 4 equal parts. And let's do it as best as we can, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have 4 equal parts. And our numerator are the parts that are counted. So currently we don't have any counted because we don't have anything colored in. We're not showing anything shaded or anything counted. But we see right here, we have 1 shaded or 1 counted. So let's color this in, okay? In this colored piece right here, this represents one part of the 4 that we have, or 1/4. Let me write that for you, okay? We would call that 1/4. Now, if we were to say, well, instead of just that 1, well, let's look at this one right here. And let's count this part. Well, how many pieces do we now have counted? We have 1 and we have 2. So our fraction would no longer be 1/4 because we have 2 of them. So the fraction would now be 2/4. Okay? 2/4. And you could keep going. You could do this section right here too. And your fraction would now be, let's see if I can write it over here, would be 3/4 or 3/4. And then last but not least, you can see right here, let's take the last piece. And that would now be, let me get rid of some of this to just help us, give us a little bit more space. Okay, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 parts that are counted out of 4 equal parts. And you might notice something here. You might notice we have all of the pizza counted. And we said that we had 1 whole pizza. So if we have all of the pizza counted, all of its parts, we would say that this is equal to 1 because we have 1 whole pizza and we have all of the parts here. We'll get into that a little bit later in some other videos where we start to think about what these values represent. But for right now, I just want you to see what is the numerator, what is the denominator, and what do these terms mean. Let's do another example real quick. Okay, we used fourths for that example. Let's think of a different way that we could divide it, and maybe a different visual to help us. So instead of using a circle, what if, get another color, what if we were going to say, let's split this candy bar. What if we had a candy bar, okay? And let's use our imaginations a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but let's imagine that we have a candy bar, okay? We have 1 candy bar, or 1 whole candy bar. And we want to divide this candy bar into thirds. Maybe you and a couple friends, maybe you and 2 friends want to share this candy bar equally. Okay, do that just a little bit better. There we go. And let's say you eat this section. Okay, well, let's think about our numerators and our denominators again. Okay, the numerator is the parts that are counted. How many parts do we have counted here? Well, we just have this section, so we have 1 part counted. And our denominator is the total number of equal parts. Well, let's count. How many total equal parts do we have? We have 1, 2, and 3. So our denominator is 3. So we currently, in this picture, we have 1/3 of the candy bar. But let's imagine, okay? Let's imagine somebody else now came and took this piece. And we want to think, well, how much of the candy bar have we eaten now? How much is taken? Well, there's 1, 2. So we have 2 parts that are counted. So our 2 is going to be in the numerator. The denominator is not going to change. This is in thirds. So we would say 2/3. And then last but not least, let's do this part now, okay? This part now. Now we have 3 parts that are counted. We have 3 equal parts, in which we know we now have 1 again. We have 1 whole candy bar. We could also say 3 thirds. And I want you to see this just so it really sticks. So this part, let me erase. Whoops, let me erase this section right here. Okay. Let's give us a little space to work. So let's go back. So this section right here, that's 1/3. Plus this section right here. Whoops, let's get a different color. This section right here, that's another 1/3. Plus this section right here is another 1/3. So a third and a third and a third is equal to 3/3. That's how we got that right there. Okay. Right here though, this is the really important parts for you just for today. Just remember what these terms mean. A fraction is a part of a whole. These are all fractions. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Those are all fractions. The numerator is the parts that are counted. Okay? This is the numerator. This is the numerator. The denominator is the total number of equal parts. Okay, we have 3 equal parts here, so our denominator is always going to be, for this one, 3. So let's do a couple examples. Okay, let's see if we can just identify what are the shaded areas of each fraction. Okay, so together we're going to do this left-hand side, and then your job is you're going to stop the video, you're going to pause it, and then you're going to complete the right side. And in the comments below, you're going to let me know how did you did. But I want you to write it as a fraction. So you might write, I got, excuse me, I got 0 out of 5. I got 1 out of 5. I got 2 out of 5. 3 out of 5. 4 out of 5. Or 5 out of 5. Okay? So let's do these first ones together. So I'm going to start by identifying what's the denominator. And we know the denominator, we need to count. So let's count how many pieces we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is divided into 8 pieces. So my denominator is going to be 8. The shaded part, how many counted parts do we have? Well, it's the shaded area. Well, how many shaded areas do you see here? I only see 1. So our numerator is going to be 1. Our fraction is 1/8. Let's keep going. We can count them again, just in case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once again, our denominator's 8. The shaded part is 2, so this is 2/8. And let's fill in the rest. Our denominator is going to be 4. Our shaded parts are 3. Denominator's 5. Our shaded parts are 3. Denominator is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Denominator is 8. Our numerator is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? I'm going to leave this side up. I want you to complete this side, and in the comments, let me know how you did. Until next time, take care, keep practicing your fractions, and remember, if you think you can, you can.